Let's talk about a word that, for a lot of us, can be kind of stressful: math. But what if the math we learned in school, all the drills and the tests, wasn't really the whole story? What if it's actually the secret language of the universe? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into the true nature of mathematics.
So, let me ask you straight up, do you love math? Come on, be honest. It sounds like a simple question, but the answer? Well, it often comes with a lot of baggage, doesn't it?
If you just cringed a little bit, you're definitely not alone. Actually, our source material says that most people, when asked that question, would probably give a loud no. But maybe that's just because we've been taught a version of math that's, well, not the real thing. Okay, let's reframe this whole thing. Forget about the tedious calculations for just a minute. What if math is a secret language, a hidden code that describes literally everything, from the spiral of a galaxy far, far away to the very helix of our own DNA? This leads to this huge philosophical question. Did we invent math? Kind of like we invented language, just to help us describe the world around us. Or did we discover it? Was it an objective truth of the universe that was just waiting there for us to find? Are we the architects, or are we just finding the source code? So here's the key idea that changes everything. Ready? Math isn't really about numbers. It's about patterns. A pattern is just any kind of regularity, anything that repeats. In mathematics, well, that's just the incredibly powerful system we've developed to find them, describe them, and figure out what they mean. And once you start looking for these patterns, you start seeing them everywhere. Seriously, they are the hidden architecture of our world. Let's just explore a few.
First up, there's reflectional symmetry. This is that simple, elegant pattern of a mirror image. Think about the wings of a butterfly, or a mountain reflecting perfectly in a still lake. It's balance, it's harmony, and it is a fundamental pattern in nature.
Then you've got rotational symmetry. This is when you can spin an object around its center and it still looks exactly the same at certain points. The perfect example, of course, is a snowflake. Turn it 60 degrees and its incredible, intricate beauty is completely unchanged. Okay, now we get to one of the most fascinating patterns of all, fractals. These are patterns that repeat themselves at smaller and smaller and smaller scales, literally forever. Think about how a branch on a tree looks like a tiny version of the whole tree, or how a coastline looks just as jagged and complex from space as it does when you're standing on the beach. It's infinite complexity, all from one simple rule just repeating over and over again. But of all the patterns woven into the fabric of reality, there is one numerical sequence that shows up so often it almost feels like a signature from the universe itself. So, it's time we unlock the Fibonacci sequence. Now, the definition is so simple it's almost deceptive. It's a sequence of numbers where every new number is just the sum of the two that came right before it. That's it. That's the entire rule. Here's how it actually works. You start with 1 and 1. Add them together, you get 2. Now you add the last two numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. Then 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. And it just keeps going, building on itself forever and ever. Okay, so this is where a simple string of numbers becomes something visual and really cool. Imagine taking each number in that sequence and drawing a square with that side length. So a 1 by 1 square, another 1 by 1, then a 2 by 2, a 3 by 3, a 5 by 5, and you just keep spiraling outwards. Now, if you draw a smooth arc that connects the corners of those squares, something incredible starts to emerge. A perfect, elegant curve known as the golden spiral. And this is not just some neat doodle. This exact spiral, born from this super simple sequence, is the blueprint for the swirling arms of galaxies, the curve of a nautilus shell, the way a fern uncurls, and even the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower. It is math made visible. This spiral is actually the visual expression of a very special number, the golden ratio, which is about 1.618. It's what's called an irrational number, which just means its decimals go on forever without repeating. For centuries, artists and architects have been obsessed with this ratio because it creates proportions that we as humans find naturally beautiful and balanced. And as we've just seen, nature seems to be pretty obsessed with it too. So yeah, it's clear that math describes the profound beauty of the universe. But this isn't just some cosmic poetry. This very same language of patterns is intensely practical, and it runs our entire modern world in ways we barely even notice. I mean, think about the weather forecast on your phone. That is not a guess. It is the output of incredibly complex mathematical models that are processing huge amounts of atmospheric data.
They use things like probability and statistics to calculate the most likely outcome, all just to tell you whether or not you should probably bring an umbrella.
Or think about medical imaging. An MRI or a CT scanner doesn't just take a picture. It gathers millions and millions of data points. It's the sophisticated mathematical algorithms that transform all that raw data into a detailed 3D image of the human body, allowing doctors to diagnose diseases and, save lives.
And what about that invisible shield that protects your entire digital life? Yup, that's cryptography, and it's built on pure mathematics. The complex number theory that secures your bank details and your private messages is pretty much what makes the modern internet even possible.
So we've gone on quite a journey here, from a simple, maybe even dreaded question, to seeing mathematics as the language of patterns, the blueprint for beauty, and the absolute bedrock of modern technology. The world starts to look a little different when you know what to look for, right?
It brings us right back to that old debate. Was it invented or discovered? Maybe Galileo had it right all those centuries ago when he said, "Mathematics is the alphabet with which God has written the universe."
It's a language that's all around us, just waiting to be read. So the real question isn't whether you love math anymore. It's, now that you can see the patterns, what will you discover?